Well, we are going to be talking about your comments and your questions and stuff that we've gathered from the comment section of various YouTube videos this morning. But first, there was this one bit of news. So let's talk about this. Teslarati is reporting this morning that it appears that Tesla is now ready to grow its headcount in Mexico once more. As could be seen in Tesla's official careers website, job openings have gone live in Mexico, the site of the company's planned Gigafactory Mexico facility. I call it GigaMex. I think that's a much better name. As could be seen on Tesla's official careers website, Tesla Mexico has uploaded job listings for Tesla advisors in all these various parts of Mexico. Tesla advisors are a crucial part of the company's sales and customer support division as they interact directly with potential customers. So I would call this from Teslarati a piece of valuable information. I think they should have posted it. I think it is scant evidence of the beginning of a maybe Tesla is starting possibly to get ready to think about starting maybe the next phase in Mexico. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, what in the heck, why haven't they started on that effort down in Mexico? All right, this is from Aaron Musa, M-U-S-A 234. He said he ordered my second Model Y in May. He got a call from Tesla offering $44,000 rear-wheel drive if he'll take it this weekend with a $3,000 discount, 2 months free supercharging. And he said, nope, I'll wait for the $47,000 all-wheel drive I ordered. They really are pushing to sell as many cars as possible before the end of the quarter. Well, that would be evidence of that for sure. Okay, this is from Roger Pedals, 1349. The correct spelling is NHTSA. In the U.S. auto OEM business when I worked there, it was pronounced NHTSA. Love your videos, Randy. Well, thank you, Roger, and thank you for the right spelling or the right order of the words and letters in that NHTSA. We'll call it NHTSA from now on. I had many, many, many people telling me how to correctly pronounce it. Thank you for all of that. This is from Slower Cuber, C-U-B-E-R, Slower Cuber 7767. He says, listen, there are some folks I listen to for the supper. Okay, let me set this one up. The other day I said that there have been people in my life who have told me that my radio voice is sometimes also a voice that could put you to sleep. That something about my tones, I don't know. I'm just going by what they're telling me. I listen to my voice, but it doesn't put me to sleep. But it could be my content. It could be my voice. I'm not sure, but maybe some of you were listening for that purpose. And this Slower Cuber 7767 says, well, there are some folks that I do listen to for the soporific effects. Soporific? Yeah, I should have looked that up. Effect of their presentation. You're generally, you note he says generally, not one of them. Also from Slower Kubrick, he says, however, I do think that Brian White's estimate was around 443, wasn't it? You know, I didn't look that up, Brian, but I do believe it was in that ballpark. Without evidence to the contrary, I'm guessing what it is that Brian thinks it will be. That is probably close. We'll get Brian's final number tomorrow. He'll be on tomorrow and we'll find out what his final number is. Okay, this is from Mark Rolls 5905. He says, all of you commentators are misrepresenting regarding Elon's comments on EV subsidies. Oh, he said categorically, this is a quote, he would prefer there were no EV subsidies as long as petrol / oil subsidies were removed also, end quote, which are approximately 10 greater than EV subsidies. Get it right, please. Your reporting is what the market relies on to make investment decisions. Well, don't make any investment decisions based on what I say. All right. Certainly, I'm trying to report the news and report it as accurately as I possibly can. I will say that Elon believes that there shouldn't be any subsidies. I know this for a fact. I did not go back and look up, he's made so many different comments with regard to that, not just one. But my belief is that based on all of the comments together, my assessment would be that he would like all of the EV subsidies to go away entirely. I will also tell you, that I've done an extremely deep dive on all the fossil fuel hating websites. I went into all these different websites, and I found one that gave a list of all the fossil fuel subsidies. This is going to shock you, and maybe you'll tell me I'm wrong. So let me know in the comments. Let me know if I'm wrong about this. The fossil fuel industry doesn't get a single special subsidy. They get normal kinds of tax advantages like any corporation. They don't get anything special. They get depletion allowances, which is a depreciation allowance. They get, if you have losses, you get to take your losses at the same rate that other corporations do. Yeah, I went down their entire list. They were giving like 20 different things that they thought were special benefits for the oil industry. None of them were special benefits. I know a little bit about tax law. I actually studied that at UCLA Law. That was one of the things I did in my third year, was I wanted to really dig deeply into the tax law. All right, this is from My Limo Melbourne 4757. He says, a new BS study has found that 49% of Australian EV owners surveyed are likely to return to a combustion-powered vehicle with their next car. It says nearly half of Australia's electric EV owners are likely to go back to diesel rather than stick with battery-powered metals, according to this study. Google, and I can't understand the rest of what he said here. I'm just going to read it. This on who question Google and who provides content to them question mainstream, and Ford contribute to mainstream, of course, read more. So there have been a huge number of headlines over the last couple of weeks about one study. This may be a second study. These studies were completely, I would just say they were so bad that I didn't bother to report on them at all. I didn't even bother to report on them to debunk them. They studied, of course, all EV buyers, not just Tesla buyers. I don't know about in Australia, but in the United States, guess what the number one reason they claimed was the people that would likely go back to gas and diesel? Oh, lack of charging infrastructure. Yes, that was it. So it wasn't anything to do with power. It was nothing to do with quality. It was nothing to do with safety. It was nothing to do with handling. It was nothing to do with any of the other things that you would make a decision on based on their study. People were unhappy that they went to charging stations and charging locations and they weren't able to get charged. Okay, this is from Martin-SE3IJ. It is not for Ford or any manufacturer to say they won't take FSD. When it is finally solved and shown to be saving lives, it will be made mandatory by law, like seat bags and airbags. It is such a disappointment that Tesla hasn't made a transit van or something that would be a utilities work truck or ambulance. Needed to get help. Needed in order to help get pollution out of our cities. All right, there's two stories there. The first one, I think there's a very real possibility that you will be right, Martin, about full self-driving being something that once it's solved, the government will step in and say everybody has to have it. They've just recently, I think it was the NISTA. I think cars now have to have the automatic braking. I believe that was. I'm saying that from memory, and maybe you can help me in the comments below whether that's true. Anyway, so yeah, I think there's a real chance you're right about that. Now, with regard to Tesla making a transit van or something like that, look, there's only so many hours in the day. There's only so many things that Tesla can do well, okay? Elon Musk does not want to put anything out. He does not want to put out any kind of a product that isn't going to be top of the line. Well, in order to do top of the line, you have to go through all the steps of getting there. And everybody, we'll talk about this maybe a little bit more in a minute. You can't do everything at once. And some things, okay, I've explained this once before in terms of how I saw it at my company, and I've seen all kinds of articles by other people saying that it's true for all companies. When you have let's bring it down to numbers that everybody can understand. Let's say you were making $500,000 a year working 40 hours a week. And that was taking care of 100% of your needs. Do you know that if you make $500,000 a year, you won't need anything? You might buy jewelry, you might buy property, you might do other things, but you wouldn't need anything else, okay? You would be able to cover your really nice shelter, really nice food, really nice travel, transport, et cetera, cars, whatever at 500,000. So you're making 500,000. And then somebody comes along and said, look, you could work an extra 10 hours a week, or let's say 10 hours a month, and we'll pay you another $1,000 a month for that 10 hours. That's $100 an hour. It's not a bad deal. Is that right? Did I say that right? 10 hours, $1,000. Yeah, that's $100 an hour. Okay, and you're like, well, okay, $100 an hour. Well, okay, I'm making $250 an hour at my day job, and you want me to make $100 an hour. Well, no, I'm not going to do that. Okay. Well, same thing. If your factory is pumping out maximum kinds of things, you're just going crazy, making all you can with, the Model Y, the Model 3. Well, all of a sudden, even the Model S and the Model X become kind of like, as Elon has said, they're just kind of like not that important anymore. Does that make sense? Okay. So making niche vehicles, maybe, maybe not, but maybe long-term, yes, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But there's lots of other companies out there that can make these. From Amoutis 1, AMOUTIS1. Doesn't everyone know that you have to grab the steering wheel? You don't have to. You don't have to grab the steering wheel in order to satisfy the nag. Just roll one of the scroll wheels on the steering wheel a notch. That way you won't knock off the full self-driving. Oh, I didn't know that. So the reason I'm talking about it right now is because he told me to tell you. So there you go. Maybe you didn't know either. This is from Mr. Ed 2291. He says, a fan question. Outside of Tesla, only the Chinese and Hyundai Kia seem serious about advancing. I am not just talking about EVs, but also 48-volt systems and over-the-air updates, etc. I had high hopes for Ford, but your description of Jim Farley's interview dashed them. Why are so many content to be obsolete? Now, by the way, I want to just, that's a great comment from Mr. Ed. Mr. Ed, I don't think that Ford is backward at all. I think they are doing a lot of things. They are doing the automatic braking, lane centering. They have 8 cameras. I mean, they're doing a lot of stuff that is very forward thinking. They're definitely going to continue to develop their battery vehicles, and even let's face it, hybrid is sort of a benefit to the environment. But yeah, in general, we would love to see Ford and General Motors and all these people be a lot more aggressive in their efforts. All right, this is also, he said, also adding on, he says, having chargers at work or apartments is the next big barrier in the United States. I hope a state starts requiring charges for apartments. It doesn't have to be 100%. Individuals can pay $1,000 and apartments or utilities can pay the rest. It would start individually, and experience gain would be a basis for expansion. I think the idea, somebody else is going to talk, here we go. Let me just go on with this one first. Gordon Gecko 4752 says, look, every home, every business, every RV campsite, etc. in the US is a charging station. You simply use a Tesla mobile charger and plug it into any 110 outlet, 220 outlet, 30 amp outlet, etc. Apartment living, you simply add a heavy duty extension cord to your Tesla mobile charger or visit a supercharging station to or from work, shopping, charge it for 20 minutes. Once we see more V4 Tesla superchargers, you'll be able to charge to 100% in 5 minutes or less. Okay, all of those things are great. I just know that some people who sometimes when you live in an apartment or a condo or a townhome, the charging, there's plenty of opportunity to just run a heavy duty extension cord. But there are plenty of apartments, plenty of condos where there is, levels and levels of underground parking, and there's nowhere that you can, hook into electricity. I think at the bare minimum, these companies, these people that own these buildings and the homeowners associations on condos should be putting in an electrical outlet in each one of those parking stalls so that they can do what you suggest. That would be the minimum. Also from Mr. Ed again, he's just been really popular here. He says, listen, 110 are not easily available for outdoor. Oh, okay, so he's just responding, already responding to what I just said. So I should have read that also. Okay, from FamNath5136. Randy, I follow the news closely as an investor. I own 2 Teslas. Where is the 25,000 car conviction coming from? So in other words, I'm talking about the $25,000 car is coming soon. He says, I see the 3Y coming down in price, but nothing cheaper. Cap vehicles for retail sales at 5 million. Robo to the moon, bots to Mars. Okay, the $25,000 car, I think, is going to be this 2.5 vehicle that's going to come out in the first quarter of 2025. Might even be done by the end of this year. It is going to be partially unboxed. So some aspects of the unboxed proposition are going to be included in this new car. It, according to some of my help that I had over this last week, can't remember whether it was Larry or Jeff or both, are saying that it will have a new body style. It'll be smaller. It will be we might see some things taken out of it in terms of some of the luxury elements to bring it down in cost. Probably going to be a very small battery and it'll be an inexpensive battery. So all of those things are going to bring the cost down. And I think we're going to be looking at $25,000 before the $7,500 deduction or, IRA deduction. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be $25,000 after that deduction. So maybe it'll be $32,500 and the $7,500 will get you to $25,000. Either way, that is what we're going to be looking at at the end of the year or the very beginning of next year. All right. This is from Joe Fannin18. He says, what? You don't like the Mr. Magoo headlights? That's worse than the Edsel 1958 Edsel grill. Yeah, no, let me know in the comments. Does anybody like the Rivian headlights? I think they're goofy. I mean, it makes them stand out. You always can tell if it's a Rivian coming down the road. Does anybody, maybe I'll run a poll on that on X today, whether anybody likes those headlights. I think they look nuts. By the way, I also think that those massive grills on the Audis and I don't know, some of the cars with those huge grills on the electric cars look stupid. Maybe you'll want to comment on that as well. All right, this is from George Ginsburg 545. He says the Electric Viking reports that Japan found a mother load of cobalt and other battery materials. Okay, well, George, listen, I pay almost zero attention to Electric Viking anymore. I don't talk negative about many of the other fantastic YouTubers out there reporting on Tesla and electrification, etc. But the problem for the Electric Viking is that he takes any story, any website, anything that he sees, and he just reads it exactly the way that their PR department is putting it out. There's no evidence that he does any background or looks into whether these things are even possible. And so the result is that he's just putting up a bunch of fairy dust. And I don't have time to ferret out the fairy dust. Anyway, yes, we are finding all kinds of cobalt and other battery and other rare earth materials. I believe it was Norway. Huge, I think it's Norway. These guys up in these Nordic countries are doing amazing things. People are not paying attention. But yeah, I think it was those guys that found also another mother lode. They're finding it in the United States as well. So yeah, long term, I don't think it's going to be a problem. This is from Donnie Dye 1998. That is DYE type of Dye 1998. You guys keep talking about FSD software, but if Ford has to buy it, is the hardware protected by patent with Tesla, or do they have to buy the hardware to do the steering of the vehicle on top of the software? Can you comment on that, please? Okay, I'm going to try to do this quickly because this can't be an hour video. Anyway, you have several aspects of FSD. All right, you have the eyes. Okay, the 8, 9, however many cameras they decide to use. You've got all these cameras. The cameras have to be amazing cameras. They have to be set up in exactly the right place. They have to be calibrated. Some of them have to have windshield wipers on them. They have special lenses. Okay. So these cameras are not the cameras that Ford is currently putting on their cars. These cameras have to be amazing. All right. So that's one part. Now, can Ford probably get those cameras? Maybe. They might be able to get as good at cameras. Okay. Number two, then you have the, I would call it's called hardware. It is the chip. It's the chip that goes into the car that manages the incoming information and then puts it back out to the car's driving system. It basically goes to the pedal and the brake, the acceleration, and to the steering wheel. So that chip is the key, okay? But the chip, as much as you need to buy the chip, somebody has to supply that chip. Tesla's is just far and away draws less electricity, uses less power, and does more work and has more capacity than anybody else's chip. It also has been set up better to do the job that it needs to do with regard to the incoming and the outgoing. And then you have the backup. You have the data that is being updated into the chip all the time when you get these updates that teach the car to be better and better and better at what it does. And that is the learning elements of it. And that all together represents what Tesla is doing. And if you want it to operate as well as a Tesla, then you need to have all those things perfect. Okay. All right. This is from Dularr, Dularr. Claiming Tesla is eliminating outages is ridiculous. Tesla is not in the transmission and distribution business. That is where the outages occur. Well, okay. But somebody answered. He says, oh, true. But in Australia, the grid batteries have stopped entire grid failing when a generator fails. Without batteries, there's a few seconds of inertia, generally a cascading failure event. Yeah, and then that was from Ian Davies, 4853. Then from Roger Tarkey, 5390. He says, search back regarding the infamous California brownouts from 2022. There was an official statement regarding the VPPs preventing grid failures, which would have occurred. Then you could go to Texas. And last year, basically, Texas had no grid failures after Tesla came in and provided VPPs and also some new capabilities in terms of batteries. So wherever Tesla goes and sets up battery storage, the number one use for battery storage, according to I can't remember her name. I had this young woman on the channel about a year ago, maybe 9 months ago, an absolute expert. I've tried to get her back, but she won't come back on again. I didn't say anything to hurt her feelings. I think it has to do with her company that she worked for didn't want her doing it anymore because she hasn't been on anybody's channel. Anyway, she said, look, the number one use for batteries right now, the number one demand for these batteries isn't even where you have solar and wind. It is for regular power stations where they can manage their electricity better. The second use for them is instead of peak, I'm going to forget the name of them. You know, you can't stay up on all this stuff all the time. It's full. The brain, it's completely full. The power, I need additional storage. Anyway, peaker plants. There you go. I finally got it. Okay, you have these peaker plants. Well, the battery storage replaces the peaker plants, and to the Australian point, that is what they're doing in Australia. They're replacing peaker plants. Peaker plants take a minute to get back up to get up to speed, where the batteries don't. And you can put a tremendous amount of power into these batteries through these batteries in a very short minute. And then you got the VPPs. Lots of ways that Tesla and Elon has gone out multiple times and talked about the fact that he could stop the problems in California and Texas, and then has done it. This is from Dularr. Never mind. Dularr says the same thing. Did I already say that? There'd be thousands without power in California. Okay, AK Jammer 1 says Ford will still be competitive because there are a lot of people that are Ford centric and wouldn't touch a Tesla due to preconceived notions. Lots of people have blinders on, kind of like you and your politics. And then he laughs, actually. He gives me a smiley face. Anyway, so Ford centric. Yeah, lots of people are Ford centric until they're not. Believe me. We could go down an entire list of people that used to be centric to their brand and have completely been, switched over in a flat minute when they finally get it. And no, I won't be switching. So listen, I'm open to switching my political point of view. I want to be with the party that believes in free speech. David Will 1320. Electrified. Dylan Loomis reported on what Jim Farley said. RK likes to claim he's the only one reporting on something when in most cases Dylan has also reported on it. And Dylan reports on a lot of things RK does not, including the very telling meeting between JP Morgan and Tesla's director of investor relations, which contradicts one of Randy's pie in the sky narratives. I guess it's not a surprise RK cherry picks the news to favor his agenda. Okay. Look, I love Dylan's show. Sometimes Dylan gets a story before I get to a story. Sometimes I get to a story before Dylan gets to a story. I am thrilled for Dylan's success. He's a great guy, and he's one of the few that I actually listen to currently. Here's how my show works, David. Sincerely, this is how my show works. In business, and I've owned about 45 businesses, started and owned about 45 businesses. One of the first things you have to do is you have to have a niche. Okay. You can't just be the same as everybody else. I can't be the same as Warren Redlick or Stephen, Mark Ryan, or, go down the list. I needed to be different. These guys were already super successful before I did my first show. They already had 50, 60, 70,000 subscribers before I did my first day. So, but I needed a niche. So my business plan is to differentiate in this way. I don't cover a lot of stuff that Dylan covers. I'm not interested in a lot of the stuff that Dylan covers. It just doesn't appeal to me. I don't think it's important. My key to my channel is to deal with you as an investor. I assume that you are an investor in Tesla stock. You may own a Tesla, you may not. You may want to own a Tesla, but you haven't bought one yet. But you probably are an investor in Tesla stock, or you're planning to be, or you're thinking about it, or you have been, and you're thinking about getting back in. That's who I assume that you are. So I don't do extensive coverage of the CNBC talking heads like Stephen. I have my experts, but not like Tesla bulls. I don't bring them all together at the same time. That's a different thing. I want to give you information that's relevant to your understanding of this set, the fundamentals of Tesla. What makes them a great company? Why is Elon the best entrepreneur ever? And how should that impact how you're making decisions? Then I give you all about the fundamentals of the economy. I've been interested in this since the beginning of when I understood there was an economy. I wrote papers when I was in high school about how energy should be the underlying principle of the economy as opposed to gold, that it should be the coin, if you will, of the realm. That was 60 years ago when I wrote that paper, over 60 years ago, well, about 60 years ago. So I love the economy. I've followed the economy. I really pay a lot of attention to it. So I try to bring you what are the fundamentals, the foundational principles of the economy right now. How are things going forward? What does it look like? And sometimes I'm even right about it. Sometimes I'm really wrong about it. Okay. And then I look at the fundamentals and the foundational aspects of the stock market. When I was at UCLA undergrad, I was walking down from the co-op where I was living. I was walking every morning down to the stock, I forget which one it was at the time, and I was watching the ticker going across, and I was investing in stocks. Okay, I've always been interested in the stock market. I've followed it my entire life. I'm not saying I'm brilliant at it. All I'm saying is I can give you some direction and advice based on the news that I'm reading, based on my understanding, and sometimes what I know about the stock market might be useful. And so then I also have how I think all of that information about the fundamentals of the economy, the fundamentals of Tesla, the stock market, and the stock Tesla itself. I bring it all together, and hopefully that's useful. If it is useful, maybe you want to hit Patreon right now, going down below. You see all the work that I'm doing for you? Anyway, join Patreon. That would be so lovely. Okay, why does Randy, okay, this is Mikey Ty. He says, why does Randy focus on luxury? Cyber taxi is aimed at 25 cents per mile. I'm expecting a super durable interior. Think Subway. Because the cost of doing them really, really nice compared to the total use case for the vehicle is almost nothing. So you might as well make it really nice. Okay, if the difference between making the car cost $16,000 and making it cost $18,000 over its useful life of 500,000 miles, it's bupkis. It just doesn't matter. All right. Sorry, Randy, but this is from Mike Mock 2192. Sorry, Randy, but my wife says if you can't say anything in 10 minutes, you've lost your audience. So I should have done this with the other one. Your wife is partially right, Mike. Some leave after a few minutes because they find out it wasn't what they wanted to hear, or maybe what they just weren't interested in the topic today. Some leave after 10 or 15 minutes. And some stay for the entire hour when the show is an hour long. I've done thousands and thousands of videos for my 400 clients that I've had over the last 16 years. I think the last time I checked it was something like 4,500. And now I've done way over 1,000 for you guys over the last 18, 19 months. My rule after all of those videos is that the video should be as long as necessary to tell the story the right way. And then that lets the audience decide how long they want to stay, depending on whether it's useful to them or not. Okay. This is from TB2M. I would say that you have no idea what is being planned internally. I assume he means it, Tesla. I think the slow ramp of Model 3 and the timing of Juniper are related to the interim production method planned for existing lines. Steer-by-wire, 48 architecture, front and back castings, etc. Do you read these comments, Randy? Let me know if I'm wasting my time. Well, I not only read your comment, but I posted it and I responded to it online. And now I'm even talking about it on the show. Listen, yeah, you could be right. I really can't get inside any of that. I have no idea what's being planned internally, except based on what Elon says, what other executives at Tesla say. I do think I am not as, okay, let me go on to the next one. Rich B2229 says, I am agreeing with Larry tonight, even when he politely disagrees with Randy. Yes, it's possible. Tesla has missed opportunities for the last 2 years and is on track to miss another year because they haven't introduced the Model Y improvements and haven't introduced another new model like the 2.5. Tesla needs a successful auto business to fund everything else they're working on. If they don't grow it, that hurts everything else. There are many holes in robotaxi, and Larry has done a great job of explaining. So let me take a minute to give you, okay, all right. So Tesla has missed opportunities. There's no doubt about it. There's reasons for this. I have no idea what they are. I personally have been most upset by them not doing the Juniper. I think that should have been done immediately, as fast as they possibly could after the Model 3 Highland was released. But I don't know whether they're not. I don't know. I can't tell you. Elon has never said this is why we didn't put the Juniper out. So I don't know. I think it was a mistake. It seems to me it would just been so easy to come out with it, but they've got another plan. Yeah, I thought they should have opened 𝐶𝐽 a year ago. I don't know why they haven't opened 𝐶𝐽. I don't know why they're so far, why they're so far behind in their effort to do the unboxed. I don't know, but they've made those decisions, and Elon has been right. Oh, so much that I'm heavily invested in his decisions and is probably going to be right in the future. So that's all I got for you today. Yeah, listen, like and subscribe, notify. By the way, I'm trying to build up what I'm doing on X. So if you're on X, if you're doing anything on X, would you please make sure you follow me? I will follow you back. Okay, just go on and follow. I will follow you back. Yeah, so that's all I got for you. And we'll be back, at least for tonight, we'll be back with our regular Sunday night show, which we call Monday Morning, where we talk to you about what's coming up this week, this coming week in the financial markets, so that you can better understand how to play them. Not necessarily because I'm so smart, but because I just bring you ideas, and then you can decide what to do with those ideas. Hey, it's been great talking to you. Bye for now.